everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Legacy Deluxe Class Red Cog Target exclusive. Before we take a look, let's take a look at the packaging. Unfortunately, my box is a little bit damaged, I do apologize about that, but let's take a look at the box art. Looking very cool in the front, of course, Red Cog in his tank mode with the Legacy logo. Red Cog transforms on the side. On the side here, two shots of Red Cog looking very cool in his robot mode. On the back, he transforms in 8 steps, of course, a picture of his robot and tank mode. He also does include a ton of accessories, which is super cool, which I will be taking a look at after the Red Cog figures, so make sure you stay tuned for that at the end of the review. And on this set here, we do have the Autobot Legacy artwork, and that's pretty much it for the packaging. So let's now take a look. Now get into the details of Red Cog, starting at the head sculpt, of course, some nice red for the helmet section, some silverish blue for the visor, some nice 2 shades of red, lighter and dark red for the shoulder and arm, also some black for the hand, looking very cool with some silver as well. Getting to this gray section, nice Autobot symbol there with some wheels done in black and red, looking very cool. Getting to the lower part of the figure, mostly done in black with some nice tread design on the side of the leg, also with some red, and there's several pegs and ports if you want to store all those extra weapons that come with this pack. And by the way, I'll be taking a look at those after Red Cog. I will, of course, mostly just be showing the figure and his 2 accessories right now in the beginning segment of this review. And of course, getting to the back, overall pretty clean, really just has a few gaps here and there, but overall looks very, very cool. Let's now get into articulation. I did want to let you know, for some reason, for this cog here, this version of this mold, both of the legs here, for some reason, just want to move at the same time, so I do apologize. Whenever I show the leg articulation, it's kind of weird. Starting at the head, of course, it can move side to side. If you use this panel, it can actually move back and forth. For the arm, it can rotate all the way around, and if you use this panel here, it can move out. There's a swivel, elbow bend, as well as waist rotation, and for some reason, both legs want to move together. I don't really know why. You can move that far forward, not really that far back. There is a knee bend, also a swivel, and an ankle pivot. And that's pretty much it for articulation. Let's now get into his 2 accessories. Of course, this pack does come with several more, but really only 2 for this figure alone. So he does come with the same 2 pistols that came with the previous versions of this mold, done in this nice kind of silver gunmetal gray. And you can just plug these into his hands, which overall looks pretty cool. There we go. Looks pretty nice. And of course, there is ports everywhere on this figure, so you could plug them on the legs, the chest, there's some on the back, so many options for that. Let's now get into some comparisons. Here he is with Power Dasher Aragon, which was in an Amazon exclusive 3-pack from Siege. And mold-wise, the only change is the head sculpt. And of course, everything else is the exact same accessories, and pretty much everything else, as you can see, is very similar. Overall looks pretty cool next to each other. And I'll take them off to the side and quickly get into comparison with the original Cog. And between the 2, they're the exact same sculpt. As you can see, of course, color scheme-wise, completely different. And this figure also does have some brushwork on his arms, and I think also his legs, as you can see, is very clean on this Red Cog. And let's quickly get in, of course, all 3 at the same time together. And overall, that looks pretty cool. My favorite probably would be the original Cog. My least favorite would probably have to be this one. I really don't like his head sculpt that much. I think it looks a little bit weird to me, but that's just my opinion. In the comment section down below, which one is your favorite of these 3 versions? Power Dasher Aragon, Red Cog, or just Cog? That's pretty much it for the comparison. Let's now get into transformation into the tank mode. For transformation into the tank mode, what you're going to want to do is remove the arms and just put these off to the side for now. Then you can just get this whole top section, remove that as well. Then what you can do is rotate the head around like this, and then you're going to want to push this in to the back like that. And then what you're going to want to do is get the arms, just plug these in place just like that. Same, of course, for this one right here. And there we have the whole front of the tank pretty much complete, and there we go. And now what you're going to want to do is rotate the legs forward, and there is tabs on the legs and slots right there, so you can just tab these into place. Unfortunately, my copy, they don't really want to stay, but you just tap those into place. And then what you're going to want to do is get the blasters from the side. Of course, you can put them in any area, but this is just by the instructions. You can plug these into place like this. And then you can have the 2 tank pieces separate, but by the instructions there is a tab right here and a slot on this side, and you can just tab that into place. And there we have the full red cog tank complete. Looking very cool. Let's take a look at the details. Of course, starting at the very front, we do have some nice gray. Of course, the wheels done in nice black and red. Of course, looking very cool. These huge cannon sections done that 2 shades of red with some black, looking very cool. Of course, a lot of the details are repeated because it's really just red cog kind of sideways, but overall looks pretty cool. And back here, of course, lots of black. I really do like that nice kind of chain tread detail back there. I also do really like the gunmetal gray for the blasters, looking very cool. And on the back we do have these huge engine boosters. Unfortunately, they do resemble the feet. They really have not changed at all, which is kind of unfortunate. But I really do like that booster design. If you wanted to, you could plug some blaster pieces in there so you could be blasting off into battle, which would look pretty cool in my opinion. But detail-wise, looks very, very cool. And if you want to, you can separate them, have them, of course, driving off into battle and have them in 2 different areas at once, which is pretty cool. So 2 separate tanks, which is pretty cool playability factor. Let's now get into a few comparisons. Now for a quick comparison, here is Red Cog with Power Dasher Aragon, and of course just Cog from the Siege line. As you can see, of course, mold-wise for the tanks, they're all exactly the same. It's really just down to the deco you like more. Probably for the tank, I'd have to say Red Cog is my favorite. I just really like the mixture of the red, the gray, and the black, and the gunmetal gray for the weapons back there looks super cool. My main complaint for the tank, just in general, for all 3 of these figures, is I wish the feet were changed just a little bit. Unfortunately, they're just unchanged. There is no transformation for them, so they kind of just stick in the back, which is kind of unfortunate. But overall, I actually do quite like the feature how you can split them in half and have 2 separate tanks at the same time. That's actually super cool. Of these 3 tanks, which one is your favorite? In the comment section down below, let me know. Let's move on to the weaponized mode. Get into the weaponized mode. So there actually is 2 in the instruction manual. I'm only going to be showing 1 in this video because they're actually very, very similar. So I'm just going to show 1. I'll be putting all the weapons on Legacy skids. So for the transformation, you're just going to want to get the arms, separate these pieces like this. You can then get this piece and you can put that off to the side just like that. You can then remove the blasters like this, just like that. And then what you can do is take the legs out. You can then fold these sections up like that. Fold this up, put those there. And then you can get this section here. Move these pegs up like that. Bring out this peg right here. And you can then get the arms, plug these into place just like this, and there we go. And now we have all the components ready. I can bring out skids and of course put all the components on him. So let's start with these leg pieces. So there is a whole port section there, and of course there is a peg here. You can plug that into place, and unfortunately, of course, this can make it kind of hard to pose and stand the figure sometimes, so I do apologize if I'm messing with it quite a bit to have it stable. You can then go to the back, and of course there is a whole port section there, and there is a peg, and this will just plug into place. Unfortunately, sometimes it can collapse that peg, so you just have to make sure to get in. There we go. And then as for the last pieces, which are not my favorites, you're supposed to rotate the hand out so you can put this blaster in his hands and the second blaster in this port right here like that. And there we go. And this last piece, I'm not really sure what it's supposed to be, but as the instructions state, it just plugs into his hand like that. So there is Skids fully armed in his weaponized mode. For Cog, looking pretty cool. I think the leg and back cannons look pretty cool. The blasters you really don't do much with, and this piece here, I think they just kind of ran out of stuff to do with it, so it does look a bit odd. But there is one of the weaponized modes, which looks pretty cool. Let's now move on to all the extra accessories that come with this Red Cog exclusive figure. Let's now get into all the extra accessories that come with this Red Cog figure, starting with a really cool accessory that you can attach to Earthrise RC. Of course, all these I'm about to show you can use in several different ways. There's a lot of customizable options that I will show, of course, after this, but there's some main really cool things you can do. So if you do get Earthrise RC, there's a little bit of backstory to this. So if you watch the Siege Netflix show, there was a scene where you got where Cog would actually transform, of course, into his weaponized mode, like I just showed you with Skids, and attached onto her back. But as a figure, without that piece, it's actually impossible. You cannot do it. But with that piece, you actually can, which I'm going to show you right now. So if you go to the very back, you hinge this whole back piece up. Of course, there is 2 ports, and you can get these sections here, and you can actually plug this into place. And then, of course, if you want to, you can hinge that panel down again like that. Unfortunately, of course, she's a very skinny, slender character, so it will make her very, very top-heavy. So you can use, of course, Cog, Red Cog, or Power Dasher Aragon. I'm going to get Red Cog, and you can just plug this into place like that, and you can recreate that scene from that show, which is pretty cool. I'm going to position her because she most likely will fall back if I leave her like that. And another accessory which I'll show right now is actually an Energon rod, which is also a piece from the Netflix Siege show. They're actually kind of exchanging Energon for Energon, and this was one of the pieces she was holding, so of course you can have her hold this. I'm not going to take the time to balance it, of course it will fall out, but if you wanted to, you could have her positioned with the Energon rod in her hands, which is super cool. So I'm going to put this piece off to the side for now. Let's get into another really cool feature. So if we bring out Alita 1 from also the Netflix show and Netflix toy line, she had a really cool sniper rifle in that show, but unfortunately was not an accessory with the toy, but you can actually recreate that right now. So if you get these two accessories that come with the exclusive Red Cog figure, you can actually plug these into place like that. Here we have her really cool sniper rifle. And now you can, of course, plug this in her hands. I would probably kind of overlap them, have the other hand hold it, and now we can do that, which is pretty cool. I think that's really nice. I'm actually going to bring out RC again just to kind of show all the kind of Netflix references you can do. And again, unfortunately, that will make her very, very back heavy, so I do apologize if that kind of falls back again. Let's now get into a few more kind of Netflix references. Let's bring out Ratchet. So in also that first season, he actually had a welder tool, which is super cool, but never came with the figure. But now you can, which is done very well. Of course, there's some nice gunmetal gray, some green and silver, and you can plug this into his hands, and now he can fix up Impactor and a bunch of figures. So far looking really cool. Of course, you can create that really nice sniper rifle. You can attach pretty much any Siege, Brunts, Cog, any of them now to RC if you want to. And now he has his welder tool. And now another really cool Easter egg or feature. If you bring out Earthrise Wheeljack, you can actually give him his grenade. Unfortunately, this is where I do have a bit of a problem. You cannot actually have him hold it, kind of like the Energon rod. What you can do is, if you want to, you can split it in half, like this, which can be a bit of trouble. You can actually get these pegs and plug them in his hands, which I think looks a bit odd to have the grenade in half, but if you really want him to hold it, you can, which it's a cool feature, but I really wish maybe there was like a tab or a slot or something when it was fully complete for him to hold it, but it looks okay like that. But as for Netflix features, that's pretty much it. So of course, I'm going to quickly after this show all the accessories just on their own and show a bit of the customizable option that you can do. But overall, it looks super cool. There's a lot of really cool Netflix references that we were never able to do before that I'm really glad you can do now. Probably my favorite have to be Alita's sniper rifle. I'm really glad you can do that now. I do like RC's feature. It's just, she's such a small, slender character. She just constantly falls back. But I also do really like Ratchet's welding tool. The problem with that is that was a Walgreens exclusive, so you have to have that figure to even do that. And, quite a few people probably don't even have the figure. But overall, very, very cool. So let's now, of course, get all these figures off the side, of course, off cam. And, of course, I'll separate all the accessories, and I'm just going to quickly go over every extra accessory that comes with Red Cog, and, of course, show all the customizable options. Now, let's quickly take a look at all the extra accessories that come with this Red Cog exclusive figure. So, of course, this is the accessory that you can use with Earthrise RC with some nice gray and blue, looking very, very cool. Of course, we have the nice Energon rod with the gray and nice purple for the Energon, looking very, very cool. We have this huge scope section, which was used with the Alita 1's rifle, looking very nice. We do have the nice grenade done with some gunmetal gray, some silver, some dark green, and light lime green, looking very, very nice. We have the welder tool done with a nice darker and lighter gray with some silver and nice kind of greenish gray there in the center with that circle, looking very cool. We do have this blaster, actually I haven't shown yet. Very simple. I don't think this is actually related to any event that happened in the Netflix show. I think it's just a simple blaster, generic one. I also really do like this three-barreled shotgun blaster. I do like this nice kind of burnt gray, black section at the end. Looks like, of course, it was just been used, which looks really nice. A lighter gray here at the beginning. we do have, of course, this is also part of the Elita 1 rifle. This is, I think, slightly similar in sculpt to Ultra Magnus's blaster from Earthrise or the Siege one, which is pretty cool. And another scope, which looks pretty cool. Also done in that gray. I think this weapon pack is actually very, very cool. I think it's actually probably better than the Centurion drone one because there is less accessories, also, of course, more affordable, and not nearly as hard to get. That one was a Hasbro Pulse exclusive. Also, another really good thing about this is a lot of them are painted. That was a huge problem with the Centurion drone. There's a lot of really cool pieces in there, but a lot of them were just gray. It was really boring. Yes, there is a few in here, but now I would say really iconic ones that you would like to be painted, like all the minifigures that came with that, and a lot of really important ones like, I can't, of course, name them off the top of my head because I haven't taken a look at that piece in a while, but a lot of really important weapons that should have been painted weren't. In this case, of course, I don't really care much about a weapon being painted, of course, a special color. But, of course, the customizable option, there's actually a lot of really cool features you can do. Of course, you can swap and mix and match anything you want. Of course, you can get this one and make a really cool shotgun triple-barreled blaster, which is super cool. Of course, if you wanted to, you could do it with this one. You could plug this in there like that, or you could plug this in here like that if you wanted to, which is super cool. So there is a lot of features. If you wanted to, you could take all these and put them on Red Cog. I've seen people do that. I think it looks a little bit ridiculous to me, but there is a lot of really cool features. If you wanted to, of course, you could split the grenade in half and attach these to Red Cog, or stick them on someone's vehicle mode so it look like it's about to be, exploded or something like that. So there is a lot of really cool options. There's a few that don't have much purpose, like the Energon Rod. I'm not really sure what you do with that. I guess you could use your imagination, saying it's like powering the weapon if you wanted to, something like that. But this one is a little bit weird and obscure. I think that was probably really a one-purpose thing, but you can use it if you want. But overall, I think this weapon pack actually is super cool, and I'd really like to do for them to do more of these in the future. Them being a Target exclusive, Amazon exclusive, Hasbro Pulse exclusive, I don't really care. I just hope, of course, the next one is just like this one, where there's maybe a few less accessories. Also, they're painted a little bit better. This one, I think, definitely improved from the Centurion drone one. And overall, I think it was actually pretty cool. So I think that's pretty much it for the individual accessories. Of course, I did show several features, with Elita 1, RC, Ratchet, Wheeljack. So several really cool options, and I'm really glad how they have so many Netflix show references here and there, for you to remember and be able to recreate some really cool battle scenes. So let's now get into the final thoughts. I'll get into the final thoughts for the Transformers Legacy Red Cog Target exclusive pack. So let's start with the accessories. I think they definitely really improved over the Centurion drone pack. There were several problems with that pack. Of course, I think there was too many accessories. Some of them were really unneeded, and I really don't have a use for. Of course, I just put them on a shelf, never really touch them, or of course add them to a figure. Yes, they were nice nostalgic things from, of course, the old G1 show, but I really don't have a purpose for them. Another problem, of course, was they were not really painted that well. I think there, of course, was quite a few less accessories. I think it's much more easy to get. It is a Target exclusive, but I think probably Hasbro Pulse exclusives are much harder to get, and of course, you can't even find them in a store, only online. And getting back, of course, to how well painted they are, of course, a lot of them are painted very well, like Ratchet's welder, the Energon Rod, the grenade, overall look very, very cool. Yes, there's a few bland blasters here and there, but I'm honestly okay with that. I really do like how you can, of course, recreate Elita's rifle. You can actually attach COG to RC now, and pretty much any modular figure can now attach to RC, which, of course, before you couldn't without that piece, which is also painted very well with that nice blue. And overall, I think they did a really good job with the accessories. I actually highly recommend to get this pack. And I know a lot of people probably are just going to get this pack just for the weapons and maybe just sell COG, but honestly, I actually really do like this COG deco. Is it my favorite? No, probably not. I actually probably do like the original COG the most, but that could be biased because blue is my favorite color, so who knows. Maybe putting that aside, it could be my favorite. But COG, I actually think it's a pretty cool figure. Starting in the remote, I think really well detailed. I love the head sculpt of the blasters. I actually really do like the nice silver and gunmetal gray mixture. Nice black. I actually really do like overall the mixture of the red, black, and silver. Actually looks super cool next to each other. Good articulation, of course, exactly like the other COGs, so if you have those figures, you know exactly what to expect. You can put them in all really cool, crazy poses. And another really cool feature, you can separate them and attach them to a lot of different figures. You can attach them to RC, pretty much any figure with all those Mech-Tic ports anywhere on the figure, which is super, super nice. And if you want to, you can get all these accessories and attach them to COG. I didn't really do it because I think it looks kind of ridiculous, but if you want to, you can. Of course, also for the tank mode transformation, it's pretty simple. You really just take them apart and just reconstruct them. And again, if you have the previous COGs, you know exactly what to do there as well. tank mode actually looks super cool. I really like how you can separate them into 2 different tanks and have them, fight, and it's super cool. The big tank is actually really cool and long. I think it looks cool. Rolls pretty well. Overall, well detailed. And my main complaint with that is, unfortunately, you do not really transform the feet at all. They really just kind of stick out at the end. It kind of reminds me of the Siege Megatron. You really just, you actually transform those more than this. Those are actually at an angle. These are completely untouched, which is kind of a problem. I wish those were a little bit different, but nothing surprising there because the previous 2 versions of COG did the exact same thing. They weren't going to change the transformation or mold just for a repack or exclusive. So I knew I was going to get with this figure. There was no surprises. Overall, I actually highly recommend to get this. I did get it overpriced on eBay, so if you're wondering how the heck did this guy get this, well, I got it on eBay. So you can wait if you want to get it at Target. Of course, I don't really think they'll ever put on clearance. Supposedly I've heard it is a red card exclusive, so if you don't have a red card and you don't want to get one, then get on eBay. I just found it for a pretty good deal, so that's why I jumped for it. So I didn't actually wait for Targets, so that's why I did it. But overall, I think this pack is actually super cool. Highly recommend it. Don't sell off COG. I actually think it's a pretty cool addition to this pack. They couldn't have just, of course, sold these weapons on their own. I think COG actually looks pretty cool next to them. I think that's pretty much it, so I'll see you next time.